as a film to watch, it was torturous. It was homework again for me. This was another movie that felt like homework. Now,
Thank God there's an American director working in poetic cinema instead
mm,
of this Hollywood stuff over and over and over
I
and
know
over and over and over. Cartoons and superheroes and
there's a lot of big stars in this film, but it was all lost on me. And I wish I could just be like, just have something more intelligent to say about the film.
But then he gets into the symmetrical thing, right? Everything's like in a little dollhouse and the things are moving.
Yeah.
And that's the key to this movie.
Watching it just as a casual viewer again who just wants to enjoy my day, I really was bored and was really sleepy and lost interest.
Amateur Girl gave it a very negative review. I gave it a very positive one. So you can see how, and I know this is very common with Wes Anderson. You see either people love him or they hate him.
Amateur Girl and Fanboy present the Big Bad Glass Movie Review.
Hello, everyone out there in internet land. Today, we're going to talk about Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. I'm Fanboy here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and this is Amateur Girl, somewhere near Hollywood. And today, I really enjoyed this movie, but the thing is, I'm a Wes Anderson fan. So, being Fanboy, I'm a fan of a lot of things, and I really particularly like Wes Anderson. I've liked him for quite a long time, especially since he's settled into this kind of strange style that he has, but he has the help from a lot of very amazing technicians. So I want to get Amateur Girl's reaction to this movie and see what she thought as the casual viewer.
Alrighty then. So as a casual viewer, artistically, it was a masterpiece. I appreciated the theatrical elements of the film because I do dabble in the community theater, you know. I am an amateur in many different realms of artistic endeavors. So in the theater world, I was definitely drawn in. But as a film to watch, it was torturous. It was homework again for me. This was another movie that felt like homework. Now, if I was assigned this in school, sure, I'm sure it'd be a really interesting film to dive into and find out all the themes behind it. But watching it just as a casual viewer again who just wants to enjoy my day, I really was bored and was really sleepy and lost interest. But visually it was absolutely stunning and beautiful. And I wish I was smarter and I could appreciate it more. I'm a very smart person, just not when it comes to film because I'm an amateur, and I could kind of understand maybe what goes behind all of the things he did to get the shots, and I'm sure it took a lot of work. There's a lot of big stars in this film, but it was all lost on me. And I wish I could just be like, just have something more intelligent to say about the film, but I will leave it at that.
Well,
The
that's a very sad criticism, but it's a very common one. It's not unusual for Wes Anderson. He's a very decisive director. He goes way back. He started out with Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson making Bottle Rocket. They made it as a short film in Texas because they're all from Texas, living in Austin. I think they're going to school in Austin at the time. They went to high school together. So they made this short film, and somebody saw it. I can't remember who saw it, and they gave him money to make a full-length feature. That's how Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson got into movies. Owen Wilson said, I was just happy to make the short film. I just always wanted to make a movie because me and Wes Anderson always going out and watching movies together. And we thought, damn, at least we got to make a movie, even if it was a short one. So they took the bottle rocket and turned it into a full-length film. It became a somewhat popular hit. Then he did Rushmore, which was about a private school, because again, he was taken from his own experiences, going to private schools in Texas. And that's why this joke about the Episcopalians and stuff is it's all relating to his own life. But then he transcended, because those two movies are very kind of conventional movie making. It's like the Hollywood brainwash movie. You got a plot, you got things happening that keep the casual viewer interested. I'm sure you like those two movies better. Then he transcended into this style, the symmetrical style, and he did Fantastic Mr. Fox is kind of like, because people saying you just keep doing the same thing, and so he did that as a little bit of a reference to the people who keep saying that, right? The critics. And I thought it was a fantastic movie. I loved it. I like all this stuff, even the first two. But then he gets into the symmetrical thing, right? Everything's like in a little dollhouse, and the things are moving.
Yeah.
And that's the key to this movie. Is life is a facade, or people who live their lives as facades. People are living their lives as actors. Not even, real people are just put on a face for the real world,
Right.
I'm putting on a bit of a face here in front of the camera. Not really. This is pretty much me, the film nerd. But, people put on these facades. He has these relationships with the women. We're talking about the photographer. What is a photographer? I'm talking about the character, not the actor. The actor was a little bit more real. He was gay. He was very strange. He just... he was like kind of a typical actor, I've met a lot of actors like him. They're just kind of like they just live their roles. And I thought Jason's what's his name? Jason Schwartzman. He did a good job. I like this. What is it? We're talking about the photographer now. The photographer is a voyeur. He just watches. He just observes. He has, the guy was unemotional. Didn't, there was no. He was obviously they were all grieving about their mother, but the wife and the mother. But it was such an odd way to grieve. But for them, I guess. But again, it's with the facade, right?
Right.
Everybody's got a facade. You got these guys. Was it supposed to be New Mexico, Arizona, or something? They all got guns, walking around with guns on. Right? The guy's even out golfing with it. He's still got a gun stuffed in his pocket. That was very fun. This is a movie you could watch over and over again. This is that kind of, he is basically, even Wes Anderson said it's a poetic meditation on life. And he's thank God there's an American director working in poetic cinema instead of this Hollywood stuff over and over and over and over and over and over. Cartoons and superheroes and and I love all that stuff in its place, but I like to have something different sometimes. And Wes Anderson delivers it when it comes to that. He had so much going on in this movie. Then he refers to quarantine. Of course, he probably wrote this during COVID, I'm sure. They're in quarantine. How it was? Remember how it was? Then all of a sudden, quarantine is lifted, and then all of a sudden, quarantine is brought back again. They had to put that in there, right? It's just, but what gets me all the time is his symmetry, his architecture, and I keep looking at this guy. What is this guy's name? Adam Stockhausen is the production designer, and he's been the production designer for Wes Anderson for like three movies, I think, maybe more. And he's also been Spielberg's production designer. He did the West Side Story production design. Guy is amazing. Basically,
what's his name again?
His name is Adam Stockhausen. Basically, has he won an Academy Award? If he hasn't, he should. He takes the storyboards that are done, and then he transfers them. He's the guy. He's the guy who's in between. He's like the architect. He's the guy between the pictures and the storyboards, and the guy's actually building everything. Directs all that building and stuff. And again, the whole building thing, all about facades. Everything's a facade. even though Stockhausen says that it was a complete functioning town with underground. He says underground power and sewers they built. So it wasn't as much of a facade as I thought, right?
Huh.
I'm talking about the little town they built for the movie.
Yeah,
So,
I get it.
but I'm still thinking again, most of it's all facades, right? You know, and then all the row of vending machines. You know, you can buy ammunition there. You can buy you can buy real estate out of the vending machine. I mean, it's just so many amusing things in this movie. And then again, probably for you, what was had really a meaning at the end was you can't wake up until you fall asleep, and you fell asleep, or you wanted to fall asleep.
I did enjoy that part. Yes, that was meaningful to me and
But you know, it's also
poetic.
to me was this and meaning. The key is the facade between the photographer and the actor, and then again, who's this girl he said starting to have a relationship, an actress, right? And they never
Mhm.
only at one point do you see them in the same room together, but mostly they're just at those windows, right? Talking, which
Yeah.
is another set of
Mhm.
characters. I mean, it's like broken down the military, the scientists, which are the kids, and then that astronomer lady,
Mm.
the businessmen, lawyers, and then you have the artist, which would be the photographer, the artist, the actress, right? And then his strange children for a bit of artistically in their own right, right? And then at the end of this thing, when he's the actor himself doesn't really understand the play himself, so he goes and talks to the director, Adam Brody. So Adam Brody, I mean, he goes in and he gets, well, it's just, you know, you just you just move forward. It's like life. You just keep going. Does it have to have a meaning? You know, who knows?
Mm.
And so he's still frustrated. So he walks out on the balcony, and there's his dead wife, but it's not really his dead wife, but Margot Robbie across in exactly the same positioning on the fire escapes as he is with the other actress in the movie. You know, what is real, what's not real. Because it starts out with the TV guy, Bryan Cranston. Then it goes to the play with the writer, which I thought was amusing. And then it goes into the movie itself. So it's like layers, facades.
Right.
And this is what he likes to do, you know, you keep moving the sets away and opening it up into, you know, into different meanings and stuff. But again, I think the movie's about facades, about how people cover their feelings. You know, people have discussed, Wes Anderson says a poetic meditation on life. Well, what's that meditation? What's the meditation about? The way people react to each other. So he goes out on that fire escape and he sees the ex-actress, and then they talk for a bit. Ex-actress, she is an actress, but she was going to play the wife, but then they cut her. You know, it's like life. People get cut. You know, or you know, like some people die, they get cut from our play, and then you just have to keep going. You know, hopefully they're out there somewhere backstage. We can talk to them later on, right? I guess backstage being like a form of heaven or something. I don't know. Again, it's a meditation. There isn't supposed to be some great, you know, like I said, the Hollywood brainwashing is that we all have to follow a plot. And I never have a problem with that. I didn't think twice about that. I've seen some of these art films, like there's one called The Color of Pomegranates, a Russian director. That's all it is. It's just a series of images. But it's, you know, if you can get into it and meditate on those images and try to figure it all out, it's worthwhile, you know, going through the whole thing. We didn't talk about the kids. The kids I thought were fascinating, the little geniuses. And I thought to myself, was he relating back to his own life? Maybe he was, you know, him and Owen Wilson, they're the gifted kids, right? You know, you always get those group of gifted kids, and that's how he probably grew up. And he was one of those gifted. So these guys are all these little gifted monsters, you know. I call them the gifted monsters. They can remember everything, right? Relating to this idea of how they say it, you have to wake up, have to fall asleep before you wake up. It goes back to Strasbourg. And this movie seems to be fascinated with the backstage life, kind of like Tar was fascinated with the backstage orchestra life. Two movies that you love. And Defoe is basically playing Lee Strasberg. He was probably the
Well-
most famous acting teacher in America when he was alive. He helped bring along with some other people like Elia Kazan, brought method acting to America, but still was method acting. So he brought method acting. And one of the things he would do, and when I took acting classes in LA, they would do the same thing because they were following his method, right? It was just he would help you relax. You have to relax. You have to literally almost fall asleep to become the character, and then you wake up into the character. So it kind of comes from all that, you know. I don't know who the hell Strauss. I mean, I'm sure Defoe, who played that part, knows all this stuff. But again, it comes down to the, you know, in real life, to get to where we want to go, we have to kind of like to progress. We have to you know, ease into whatever is troubling us, or like in this case was the loss of the mother, and they can't really move on from the grief and loss until they accept it, right? So the whole, you know, whole movie works in so many different layers, you know. It's just like levels of interest here. Again, it's a meditation, but done so well. Thank you, Scarlett Johansson. She said that she kept mentioning CGI. So to make our lives so much easier if you guys did CGI. They said that was like a dirty word around the set. CGI. It's a clean environment. You're not out there in the sun, you know, and everything. So other than that, that's my review. Amateur Girl gave it a very negative review. I gave it a very positive one. So you can see how, and I know this is very common with Wes Anderson. It's either people love him or they hate him.
Sure.
So
everybody, please like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your comments, and it'd mean a lot to us. So please do so.
Yeah, and you like and subscribe because it helps us out a lot. We're just trying to get this little channel going, and just to show that you've watched a little bit of it, and maybe make a comment and tell us how we can improve. I know how I can improve. Sometimes my memory's not that great, and I forget things, and I get them wrong. I'll get the fact wrong, then I catch it.
Yeah.
And I even know what the fact is because when I watch the video again, I go, "Oh, that's wrong. Why did I say that?" It's just when you're in the moment, I guess you make mistakes, right? I guess it happens a lot. So anyway, so forgive us for that. And other than that, that is Fanboy from Chiang Mai, Thailand.
An Amateur Girl from somewhere near Hollywood.
We're signing out.